Okay, imagine this. A place just sculpted by nature, like raw power. Granite peaks shooting up, huge glaciers moving, and this wind just sweeping across these massive open plains.
Patagonia.
Exactly, Patagonia. Just saying the name makes you think of adventure,
Yeah.
like the edge of the world. But actually going from you dreaming about it to planning it, that's different.
Yeah.
So that's where we come in. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just picturing Patagonia. We're really digging into the must-know stuff for a trip that's safe, totally memorable, and, efficiently planned.
Mm-hmm. And what's so fascinating about Patagonia, I think, is how it grabs you. It's obviously stunning to look at, but it also kind of demands something from you, respect. And the payoff for embracing that wildness is just profound. We've got some great material here to sort of unpack that for you.
Yeah, totally. So in this deep dive, we're going to get right into it. What makes those landscapes just so unbelievably captivating? Why do hikers travel halfway around the world for this place? What's the deal with the unique wildlife there? And what creates that magnetic pull you feel just hearing the name Patagonia? We'll cover the big regions, the famous treks, safety essentials, of course, what it really costs for different styles of travel, and how to actually get around down there. Ready?
Let's do it. Patagonia's landscapes are just on another level. It stretches across Chile and Argentina, and it's this place where ice and wind have basically sculpted everything.
Yeah.
Think about those super dramatic granite peaks like Fitzroy or Torres del Paine. They're famous for a reason, right? Instantly recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got these massive glaciers. And they're not just static ice fields. They're like moving rivers of ice.
Yeah.
Huge.
Wow.
And that windswept steppe, it sounds empty, maybe, but it just gives you this incredible feeling of space, solitude. It's how all these different things come together, I think, that makes it so intense visually.
And everyone calls it a hiker's paradise. Looking at our sources, you can definitely see why. It seems like whether you want those really tough multi-day circuits or maybe more accessible day hikes, Patagonia just offers this really direct, powerful connection with nature.
Yeah, I think that's right.
What is it about hiking through that kind of landscape that hits people so hard, do you think?
Well, part of it, I reckon, is feeling truly in it. You're not just looking at a picture. You're moving through it, feeling the ground, the wind.
Right. You're part of it.
Exactly. And the trails often lead you to these spots, these incredible viewpoints that, well, you have to earn them. Plus, there's so much variety, steep climbs, gentle walks through valleys. There's something for almost everyone, really.
And it's more than just the big views, isn't it? There's a whole living ecosystem there.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine seeing guanacos that are like South American llamas or alpacas just roaming free on the plains. They're quite striking. Or spotting an Andean condor flying overhead. Their wingspan is massive. It's unforgettable. And even just the possibility of seeing something really elusive like a puma adds to that feeling of being somewhere genuinely wild. It is a fragile ecosystem, though, which really highlights why traveling responsibly there is so important.
It sounds like a trip to Patagonia isn't just, ticking off another destination. There's this sense that you need to be prepared to respect the power that's there. What kind of satisfaction comes from that kind of experience?
It's a different kind of reward, I think. Not like a relaxing beach holiday, maybe. There's this real sense of accomplishment, navigating tricky trails, dealing with weather that changes on a dime, just being self-reliant out there.
Right.
You earn those amazing views, and that makes them mean more somehow. It builds resilience, I think, and a connection to nature that's pretty special.
Okay, so if you're planning a trip, what are the absolute must-do things? We've talked hiking, but what are the really big draws?
Trekking is definitely like the main event for many people. Over in Chile and Patagonia, Torres del Paine National Park is famous for the W and the O circuits.
Right, the W and the O.
Yeah, these are multi-day treks hitting the park's highlights. The crucial thing here, though, is you often need to book your spots in the refugios, the mountain huts, or campsites months ahead, especially for the W trek. In peak season, it gets booked solid.
Months? Wow, okay. Good to know.
Then, across in Argentina, near El Chalten, you've got incredible hiking around Mount Fitzroy and Cerro Torre. The vibe there is a bit different. Access is often free, and you have more flexibility with day hikes, which are still really challenging, or multi-day trips where you might wild camp.
Okay.
And the W trek, by the way, it gets its name because the route kind of follows three valleys, making a W shape on the map. It hits Glacier Gray, the French Valley, and the base of the Torres del Paine Towers.
And those glaciers, they seem like such a defining part of Patagonia.
Totally. Perito Moreno Glacier, near El Calafate in Argentina is amazing, partly because it's so accessible. You can get right up close on boat tours, see the scale of it, and you can even do mini treks on the ice itself.
Really? On the glacier?
Yeah, with crampons and guides, of course. It's
Yeah.
quite an experience. And witnessing calving when massive chunks of ice break off and crash into the lake, it's just raw power.
I bet.
And it's interesting, Glacier Gray in Torres del Paine gets its grayish color from all the fine rock sediment, rock flour it grinds up and carries along. And in the French Valley, apparently the sound of melting ice and snow falling off the cliffs around you is, well, pretty dramatic.
Sounds intense. So beyond the huge treks and the glaciers, what other kinds of adventures can you find?
Now, there's quite a bit. You could go kayaking or paddle boarding on those incredibly blue lakes. Gives you a whole different view. El Chalten is also a world-famous hub for rock climbers. Serious granite climbing there.
Right.
Or you could explore the steppes on horseback, get a feel for the traditional gaucho culture, and visiting a remote estancia, one of those big ranches that offers a really cool glimpse into authentic Patagonian rural life. Sometimes you can even join in with the activities.
All that adventuring must work up an appetite. What's the food scene like? What should you look out for?
Well, the food in Patagonia is generally pretty hearty, very focused on local stuff. The absolute classic dish you have to try is Patagonian lamb, or cordero al palo.
Cordero al palo.
Yeah, it's lamb, slow roasted vertically on a cross over an open fire. It gets this amazing smoky flavor, super tender. You'll find it at estancias, lots of local restaurants. It's iconic.
Sounds amazing.
And because the lakes and rivers are so clean, fresh trout and other seafood are usually excellent too, often cooked really simply, just letting the quality shine through.
And being partly in Argentina, I'm guessing beef plays a big role on that side.
Oh, absolutely. You can't go wrong with Argentine beef. A good steak, grilled perfectly, maybe with a nice Malbec from Mendoza.
Yeah.
That's a classic Patagonian meal right there.
Nice.
You'll also find local things like Calafate berries. They make jams, ice cream. There's even a local legend that if you eat a Calafate berry, you're guaranteed to return to Patagonia one day.
Ah, I like that.
And yeah, don't skip the artisan chocolates you find in the towns either.
Yeah.
Really rich, good quality stuff.
So it sounds like even the dining can be part of the whole experience, whether it's a comforting stew in a mountain hut or a nice meal in town, fueling up for the next day.
Exactly. It's generally wholesome, satisfying food, perfect for people spending their days hiking or exploring out in the elements.
So after a long day out there, where do people actually stay? It sounds like there are quite a few different options.
There really are. For those watching their budget, camping is fantastic. You're right out in the landscape. Designated campsites might cost maybe 10 to 25 euros to US a night.
Okay.
Just remember, in Torres del Paine, some sites are managed, need booking. Whereas near El Chalten, you'll find more free campsites, but they're pretty basic. And obviously, you need all your own gear.
Right. And for those big multi-day treks like the W...
That's where the refugios come, in the mountain lodges or huts. They're dotted along the main trails like the W and O circuits. Usually dormitory-style beds, shared bathrooms, and often you can buy meals too, which is a huge plus if you don't want to carry lots of food.
What sort of price are we talking for those?
For just a bed, maybe 40 to 100 US per person. If you add meals, it could be more like $80 to $150, maybe even more. And again, booking months and months in advance, especially for peak season, is absolutely critical for these. Refugio Las Torres is a popular one, often the last stop on the W.
Got it. Book early. What about regular hotels and guest houses in the towns?
Yeah, the main hubs like Porta Natales, El Calafate, El Chalten, you've got the whole spectrum. Budget hostels or guest houses might have a private room for, say, $30 to $60. Mid-range hotels could be $80 to $180 a night. And then you have luxury lodges going up from $250 easily.
And you mentioned estancias earlier as a unique place to stay.
Yes. Staying on an estancia, a working ranch, is a really special experience. It gives you a real feel for the gaucho culture and rural life. Often includes activities like horseback riding. They tend to be pricier, maybe $200 to $500 or more per night, but often include meals and activities, so it's more of an all-in package.
Yeah, okay. So you've arrived, hiked, eaten, found a bed. How do you actually get around in this huge sort of remote place? Logistics time.
Right, logistics. Getting there usually means flying into specific airports. For the Chilean side, Torres del Paine, you're looking at Punta Arenas or maybe Porta Natales itself, flying from Santiago.
Okay.
For the Argentinian side, El Chalten and El Calafate, the main airport is El Calafate, usually flying from Buenos Aires. Just be aware that internal flights within Chile or Argentina can add quite a bit to your budget.
Good tip. Once you're actually in Patagonia, how do you move between towns or get to the parks?
Buses are really the main way most people travel between the key towns like Bardo Natales, El Calafate, and El Chalten. There are also specific bus services that run right to the park entrances, like for Torres del Paine.
Do you need to book those ahead?
Definitely recommended, yeah. Especially in high season, those buses fill up. So book your tickets in advance if you can. For Torres del Paine, for example, buses run from Puerto Natales and connect you to the ferry or park gates you need for the treks.
And what if you want to visit both the Chilean and Argentinian sides, crossing the border?
Yeah, if you're doing both, you'll need to factor in the border crossing. It can be a bit time-consuming. Multiple stops, immigration, customs checks. You know the drill.
Right.
Make sure your passport and documents are handy and just build a bit of buffer time into your schedule for it. Don't plan anything too tight right after a border crossing.
Sensible. And inside the parks themselves, any transport options?
In Torres del Paine, yes. There are catamarans that cross some of the big lakes, which are often essential for starting or ending parts of the WRO treks. And shuttle buses run between some key trailheads.
Okay.
El Chalten, on the other hand, is super convenient because most of the main trailheads start right from the edge of town. You just walk there.
What about renting a car? Is that a good option?
It can be, but it's less common if you're just focused on the big treks like the W. It's expensive, some roads can be rough gravel, and many treks are one-way, which makes returning the car tricky.
Ah, right.
But if you wanted to explore more widely, maybe drive parts of the Carretera Austral further north, or just have more flexibility, then yeah, a rental car could be great, just needs more planning.
Okay, this all sounds incredible, but also potentially pretty expensive. Let's talk budget. What should people realistically expect to spend?
Yeah, you're right. It's generally not a cheap backpacker destination. The remoteness, the park fees, flights, it all adds up.
Yeah.
But how much you spend per day really depends on your style.
Like,
Well, a real budget traveler, someone camping, cooking most meals, using buses, might get by on, say, $50 to $100 US a day-ish.
okay, that's doable.
Then maybe a mid-range traveler staying in refugios or basic guest houses, eating out sometimes, maybe a tour here and there. You're probably looking at $120 to $250 a day.
Right.
And then for a more luxury trip, nice hotels, fine dining, private guides, maybe staying at an estancia. Yeah, costs can easily hit $300, $500, even $800 or more per day.
So what are the biggest things driving those costs? What should people budget carefully for?
Flights are usually number one. Getting there internationally, and then any internal flights you need. Book those as early as you can. National park fees, especially Torres del Paine, are significant. And if you're doing the W or O, booking those refugios or paid campsites adds up fast.
Gear, too, I guess.
Yeah, gear. Either buying it beforehand or renting it there. And guided tours, obviously, will push the budget up.
Are there good ways to save money but still have an amazing trip?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Traveling in the shoulder seasons, October, November, or March, April, can often save you money on flights and accommodation. And fewer crowds, too.
That's a good one.
Camping is easily the cheapest way to sleep. Cooking your own food saves a ton compared to eating out all the time. And places like El Chalten have amazing free hiking trails right from town. Plus, you know, packing light helps avoid those extra baggage fees on flights. Every little bit helps.
Okay, so timing is key for budget and also for weather, right? Patagonia's weather is famously wild. When is the best time to go?
Yeah, the weather is something else. You can genuinely get all four seasons in one day sometimes. The peak season is their summer, December to February.
Right.
That's generally when you get the warmest temps, longest daylight hours, best chance of clear skies, ideal for those longer tracks. But it's also the busiest, most expensive, and often the windiest time. You absolutely have to book everything way in advance.
We talked about the shoulder seasons for saving money. Are they good weather-wise, too?
Often, yeah, they can be excellent. Spring, like October, November, you get wildflowers, milder weather, fewer people. But it can still be pretty variable. Autumn, March, April is gorgeous for fall colors, especially around El Chalten. It's cooler, crowds are thinning out, maybe less windy than summer, but definitely getting colder.
What about their winter, May through September?
That's the real off-season. A lot of trails might be snowed in, inaccessible. Some places closed down completely. It's really only for experienced winter hikers or specific snow activities. The plus side, super low prices, almost no one around.
So the main takeaway is be ready for anything weather-wise.
Absolutely. Layers, layers, layers. And good waterproofs, no matter when you go.
Beyond the landscapes and the hiking, what about the culture, the people you meet?
Well, in Argentine Patagonia especially, the gaucho culture is still really strong. These skilled horsemen, the ranching heritage, Visiting an estancia is a great way to see that.
Cool.
And generally, across the region, there's this deep respect for nature. You feel it. It comes from the indigenous history and the settlers who had to live with the land. Lots of focus on conservation now, too.
Does it feel welcoming despite the kind of harsh environment?
Generally, yeah. People tend to be warm, resilient, pretty welcoming. Knowing even a tiny bit of Spanish is always appreciated, of course. You often get this sense of a pioneer spirit still, Self-reliance, community. Yeah, it's quite inspiring.
Okay, last but definitely not least, especially for a wilderness trip, safety and security. What do travelers need to know?
Yeah, super important. Wilderness safety first. That unpredictable weather means always carrying extra layers, waterproofs, emergency basics, even on day hikes. Don't underestimate it.
Right.
Stick to the marked trails. It's safer for you and protects the fragile ground. And if you are going somewhere more remote, tell someone your plans, when you expect to be back. Basic stuff, but crucial.
Food and water.
Carry enough of both. High-energy snacks are good. And while the water often looked pristine, it's always safest to treat water you get from streams or lakes. Use a filter or purification tablets.
And wildlife. Any potential dangers there?
Yeah. You'll likely see guanacos. They usually keep their distance. Kumas are around, but sightings are rare. If you did encounter one, the advice is, don't run. Make yourself look big. Make noise. Usually they want to avoid you too.
Okay. And just general safety, like in towns.
Patagonia is generally very safe, especially out on the trails.
Yeah.
Like anywhere, be aware of your stuff in busy towns or bus stations. Petty theft can happen. Tap water in towns is usually fine to drink. Backcountry water, treat it.
And insurance.
Oh, absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Get comprehensive travel insurance that specifically covers trekking and, ideally, emergency evacuation. You hope you won't need it, but in a place like Patagonia, it's just not worth the risk.
So wrapping it all up, Patagonia, it's this place like just staggering beauty, huge adventure potential, this deep connection with wild nature. It definitely asks for respect, good planning, being prepared.
Yep.
But the reward sounds like an experience that's just totally unique, a real journey into the planet's wild heart.
Absolutely. Definitely leaves a mark on you.
Thinking about that raw power and beauty and how you have to be ready for its challenges, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of inner resilience, what strength might a trip like that actually awaken in someone? And with that mix of pure adventure and cultural connection, what part of a Patagonia trip calls lightest to your own sense of exploration? Definitely something to think about.